Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Focused on Infinity Hour, more or less. I am Logan Grendel, your host and director and the person who comes up with all of this nonsense, assisted, of course, by the always excellent and inimitable Mistrix. I showed you that video, the one of the protest, because that is a video that I actually shot. Sometimes people will ask me, like, when I say stuff about how protest doesn't work, right? They'll be like, well, you haven't protested. No, I was there. That video is from 2014, my friends. 2014 is when I started to have the biggest part of my political awakening. Okay. I was in the streets as often as possible. We were there at night. We were there when we had permits. We were there when we did not. We were there at times when the police were actively trying to corral us. It was kind of like watching two armies try to outflank each other, because what they would do is they would go in the street, and they'd walk along the line of people who were on the sidewalk, and they would be with the megaphone like, if you block traffic, you will be arrested. And then what they would try and do is get us to block traffic so that they could make arrests. And I would see them reach in and just pull people out and arrest them. And what did that accomplish? We're here now, right? Right? There's a lot of fiery energy that comes as a result of the indignation that we feel when we see the grievous injustices wrought upon us by this system. And yeah, right? You need that fire. The fire is what gets you out of bed, but you dissipate that fire when you just go out into the street and yell as if somebody's fucking listening. Babes, they're not listening. We know that by now. We know that in our minds, and we know that in our hearts at this point. And that's why I talk about practical strategies. That's why we're doing this show. This show is part of a practical strategy, because YouTube doesn't belong to fucking Google. Remember, Google bought YouTube. YouTube is an idea that was in the zeitgeist. It was a place where people could upload videos of them educating, of them living, of them doing whatever the fuck. And other people could find it and watch it and enjoy it and learn from it and whatever, right? And the comment sections where people could talk, where people could just yell at each other, whatever people are going to do, right? And Google was like, they cooked with that one. I'm going to buy that, right? None of this belongs to them. Remember, the biggest platforms, the biggest companies don't create anything. They don't generate anything except for AI, which that's a whole different story, but they don't do anything. The best thing that people make that make a lot of money is phone calls, is acquisitions. That's what they fucking make. Okay? Remember, the internet belongs to us. This is ours. This is us. It is real people. And a lot of people say, like, oh, what'd you do? Go to YouTube University? Guess what, babes? If you know how to vet people and look and make sure that you're talking, getting information from somebody who knows what they're talking about, that's actually a great way to learn. People are like, oh, you don't read. Okay, look, yes, reading is important, and you got to definitely read sometimes. But also, some people learn better from videos. That's why people go to classes, right? Because you do the reading and then you go to the class where you get instructed by someone. But that's all, stuff that we are used to and stuff that has been normalized and formalized by the overculture. So going to a class is fine, right? But YouTube, well, that's just somebody who learned how to do a thing, maybe not from an accredited place or an accredited university. Maybe they don't have the right permits. Maybe they don't have the right diploma. How do you know, right? And then, of course, we all grow to distrust each other. We distrust the fact that we are the people that do everything in the end. At the end of the day, the government doesn't do anything for us at all. It does not. In fact, what it does, and when I say the government, I also mean things like Google, because it's the same thing, right? Fascism is the merger of corporate and state power. Hello. They don't do anything for us. We do it all. We can do it all without them. And the whole meme, oh, you're protesting capitalism, but you're doing it on an iPhone. Well, yeah, because that's what I got. Also, the iPhone, guess what? That was made by people. That was not made by a company. The internet, that was DARPA. That's public money, babes. Okay, so all of this belongs to us. Let me cut back to Venezuela. Our government has gone into Venezuela and not just attacked, but literally kidnapped the fucking leader of the country. Do y'all realize how, we're like, we're 5 days into this year? And already the fuckery is so high. Not only did they capture Maduro, they also, and maybe y'all didn't know this, but they paraded him through New York City in a van. Look it up. There are on YouTube, where we are, there are videos of Maduro blindfolded, handcuffed in the back of a van with the doors open, flanked by soldiers, just giggling like they just won the lottery. Okay? Why did they do that? Why are they having the trial in New York City? Well, okay, yes. A lot of the courts are here in New York City, sure. New York is one of the 2 seats of imperial power. New York is such a contradiction in terms, right? It's the most cosmopolitan place. It's the place that everyone in the middle of the country fears. But it's also one of the 2 most important seats of imperial power. It's where Wall Street is. It's where a lot of the main courts are. But even more importantly than that, and listen, I don't have, evidence to support this yet. But I am very strongly sure that the reason that they paraded Maduro through the streets of New York City was not only just to flex their power and do mafia shit like they do, but also as a threat to our new mayor, Mamdani. They're like, if we can do this to somebody who doesn't even fucking live here, watch your ass. Think about it. That's what an abuser would do, right? Because they don't do it to you first. They'll do it to somebody else, and they'll be like, you see what I just did? You can get that next. And that's all that's all this country does. Unless you think that this is just Trump. Every president has done this. Every single president. Every single president has done this, y'all. Okay? This is not new. We are the world bully. Right? Have you ever played the game Civilization? This is a tie-in to gaming, but just bear with me, right? In the game Civilization, which is one of my favorite game series of all times, you are civilizations basically vying to colonize the world, right? Vying to control the world either through military, economic, cultural, religious, some kind of means. And what will happen in that game, right, is that there will be an independent city-state of some kind, and one of the greater powers will see some piece of, something on that land, right? Maybe it's oil, maybe it's copper, maybe it's, some luxury, whatever. And they'll attack it. And the rest of the world can decide, are we going to do something about this, or are we too afraid of the people attacking the city-state to do anything about it? And we see this play out the world over all the time. All the time. Darlings, what's happening in Venezuela, it's going to happen to other countries. I said, right around the time that video was being made, not quite then, after it was probably 2015-ish that I made this prediction. And people looked at me like I had just slipped every cog in my brain. I said that if Trump becomes president, at some point, Trump attacking Mexico is on the table. Do you believe me now? Venezuela, Colombia, Greenland, Mexico. It's a game of risk. Look at the map. Look at the map. Okay? When you are a person who thinks of the world as a plaything, who has been educated to believe that the world is your plaything, like people like Donald Trump, right? You just see things as pieces. Positionality pieces. Oh, well, if we had Greenland, then we'd have another stepping stone over to Europe. And, if we have Venezuela, then we can attack Cuba from both sides. And we can attack Mexico from both sides. It's all strategic, and it's really obvious. And here's the thing. We are the ones fueling the Death Star. And now here comes an indictment. And please don't get pissed off before you think about it. Because you're going to get pissed off, a lot of you. It is what it is. It's Capricorn season. I'm going to piss some people off. I'm sorry. Actually, and by sorry, I mean I'm not sorry. What did you do for the holidays? Did you do the same thing you always do? Did you go and hang out with a bunch of your family members and not talk politics because of tradition? Did you go travel with or without a mask on, spreading the flu and, of course, the disease which shall not be named, which is eating away at everybody's, immune systems? Or did you make this the first time that you decided to stand on business, hang out with your friends, your chosen family, or hang out with your birth family, but tell them, hey, guess what? We're doing things differently now. I can't be silent anymore. We're going to have to fucking talk about this. Racist Uncle Jim is either not allowed at the table, or I'm going to yell at him the whole time, or that motherfucker can't come. He has to sit at home by himself and think about his fucking choices that got us to this point. Did you do that? Because if not, guess what? You can be as mad as you want to at Trump for invading Venezuela, but you didn't do your part. Because the little bit that we each do adds up. We are the gears. We are the sprockets. Every dollar we spend, like I said last time, right? We should be appalled by the concept of single-use plastic. Yes, it should be available for people with disabilities, but those of us who don't need it should not ever use it. We should be like, absolutely not. And it's the same thing. Is the problem corporations? Yes. Right? But labor and consumption are the two ways that this society works, that capitalism works. It needs us to work, but there's a lot of us that are locked out of capitalist production. I myself subtracted myself from capitalism, essentially. I mean, obviously there's ways that we cannot. Like I say, every time I turn on the light switch, I am breaking my own values because all that money goes to fossil fuels. So, right. But I chose a profession that was not connected to any systems. I chose to work only to hire people, to give people jobs, to work in the community, right? I have made the choices in my own life. I am doing this basically for free because I believe in it. And because I say that if you see something that must be done, you have to do it. But you have to do it. You, literally you, not just me, right? There's an Ani DeFranco quote. Ani DeFranco, don't even get me started on how she just became a white woman at some point. But anyway, the quote is, someone says to her, thanks for saying all the things I never do. And I say, thanks. Yeah, the thanks I get is to take all the shit for you. It's nice if you listen. It'd be better if you joined in. As long as you play their game, girl, you're never going to win. And going and sitting at those dinner tables, that's playing their game. It's playing their game. It's not just keeping tradition. And you know what? You don't have to do it. Listen to me. You can choose to act differently tomorrow. Whoever you have been, whatever you have done yesterday, you don't have to do that tomorrow, right? There is a fixed self, sort of, but not really. We get to decide every day how we want to show up, who we want to be. And we have to make that choice. We legitimately have to make that choice in every possible way, or we are cooked for real, because it's not going to stop at Venezuela. One thing really interesting about the most recent wave of Star Wars movies, the most interesting thing about it, first of all, look back at what George Lucas said about Star Wars. It was deliberately and intentionally, without any equivocation. It was a statement against Empire. A faceless white empire of stormtroopers going through the galaxy and taking over shit. This was somebody who was pushing back against Vietnam. And who were the heroes? You know, the fucking Ewoks were basically the Viet Cong. They were the heroes. A ragtag group of multicultural people from every walk of life, every ethnicity, got together and took down the Empire. That was the message. Now, in the most recent ones, who's the villain? It's not the OG, it's a fanboy. It's a fanboy who keeps special relics of the OG because he idolizes him just that much. I have talked about this before. One of the only books we know our president to have read is a rare book of Mustache Man's speeches that he kept somewhere in his bedroom by his bedside. It was in the it was in the divorce proceedings from Ivana Trump that he kept this book there. The ballroom thing, look it up. Who else built a ballroom in the House of the People? Who else did that? Who else started by exporting their criminal element somewhere else before they started doing whatever they started doing to them? Who else did that? Okay? So this Venezuela thing, if you think it's isolated, if you think Congress is going to stop it, my friend, this is a very overused statement, but wake the fuck up, please. This is going to take us, and it's going to take all of us, and no one way will work. And there is a place for everyone. Okay? We've got a big show. It's going to have a lot of different things to bring you. A lot of it's just going to be stuff that I have produced over the years. Because to start off this year, I wanted to just, share a little bit more of myself and just about the different things that I do. Whether it's gaming, whether it's music, whether it's, there is a lot. There is a lot to share with you. And I have so many great, artists and activists and, content creators, performers in the wings who are going to be part of things coming up in the future. And this show will only grow if you help it to do so. And content creators, before I switch over, I want to remind you, and if you didn't know, tell you, that content creators at this point and this time have started having FBI people show up at their houses to question them, right? Ismatu, who a lot of you probably know and follow, who is amazing, was detained for a long fucking time coming back into the country. That's where we are. And as much as people like to denigrate content creation or, call people like myself just like internet yappers, we are doing the work that the mainstream media is supposed to be doing and did not. We saw a need and we filled it, right? I don't care if it's me. I don't care who it is. Support real people, support artists, support content creators, support them because guess what? Putting yourself out there is dangerous. It always has been, but now it really is. But you know what? We're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep doing it because that is the way that we can be we can bridge the gap between where we are and the future we need. And entertainment, education, art is part of the way to do that. No one way works, right? I'm not a soldier or I'd be out there soldiering. But I can do the things that I can do. I can start a business. I can show people how to create gardens, right? There's a lot of things that I can do and I'm going to do. And I hope that you will join me and do the same. So, let's get into our very first segment, which is going to be, as always, the astrological weather report by our very own Alice Pope of Alice Pope Astrology. Mistrix, kick us off.